Hey everybody, Karyn Bryant for MMA H.E.A.T. I'm talking with Beneil Dariush, who is facing Drew Dober at UFC Wichita. And Beneil, you're already there, you're settled in, you're comfy. How cold is it? Because I'm a little nervous. I was like, oh cool, yeah, Wichita's gonna be, oh no. I looked at the weather, I was like, oh no.
So a few weeks ago, I looked at the weather, and
Yeah,
it was in the 50s and 60s. I was like, well, okay, it's kind of like California. We're
right.
good. And last week, I looked, and it was 5, 15, 10 degrees.
Yeah.
Ah, man, I didn't realize it was going to be so up and down. So yesterday, it was 15 or 10. Tomorrow is going to be in the 40s, I guess, or 30s. So it's all over the place. It is getting warmer, so I guess it's good.
That's good.
I'm not very, yeah, I'm not very good with the cold. We're struggling a little bit.
Yeah, well, my first thing that I do is get to the hotel and I crank up the heat. But how does that affect you in terms of your cutting weight? I mean, for you especially, just traveling in general. Obviously, stateside is a lot easier for people. They can usually get the food they want and that kind of thing. But how much of is it a concern for you when you go somewhere this cold or whatever for you to sort of get to your process here of making weight at the end?
The cold doesn't get in the way too much, to be honest. Like you said, being stateside is great. There's a
Yeah,
Whole Foods here. You get to the Whole Foods, you pick whatever it is you're gonna eat, and,
yeah.
just come back. I guess the toughest part is getting some sunlight because I like to get sunlight the week of the fight. I like to get lots of it, and it's a little bit difficult getting sunlight. That's the only thing.
We got to get you one of those sad lights, the ones for the the people with seasonal disorder. That yeah, we'll get you one
Yeah,
of those.
yeah, that'll be great. Actually, yeah, because sunlight gets rid of my eczema too. It's great. I recommend it for everybody.
There you go. Very nice. Well, listen, Drew Dober is a tough task at hand. Listen, this is a guy who is on a hot streak right now. You've gotten back in the win column recently, but what do you think when you first when you first got this matchup? What was your take on the two of you fighting each other?
I've met him a few times. Really cool guy,
Yeah.
but skill wise, I think he's obviously explosive. He does like to come forward,
Hmm.
and he relies on his striking and wrestling.
Yeah.
He's not the kind of guy who's going to try to submit you, but he's definitely going to look to take you down,
Hmm.
look to do some damage, back up, look to throw some bombs.
Yeah.
That seems to be his game. Uh, he's just looking to wear you down until he can get the finish.
Well, so the thing about Drew, though, is he's kind of built like a tank, right? When you
Yeah.
see him, yeah. So how does his sort of body type affect, or does it have any effect on you? Because as we know, you're a guy that's been able to knock out James Vick. You were the first to do so, so we know that you can work with different kind of body types. But does his body sort of present any issues to you?
Yeah, so depending on the body type, you have to make
Hmm.
adjustments. A guy like James Vick, you're gonna fight him differently than a guy like Drew Dober. I don't want to give too much away, but understanding range and the ability to control each fighter, that's what's gonna put you on the next level as a fighter. So that's gonna be kind of the goal for this fight is figuring out the range and seeing where I can hit him and where he's gonna be missing.
Hmm. Well, I mean, he has been submitted before. He did have that one fight where, it was ruled that the judge had made an error. But do you think you'd be, sort of more comfortable showing off some grappling? Or, I mean, we know that you're very good at that. And if that's something that he has been, susceptible to in the past, obviously, jiu-jitsu is something that you could use against him.
Yeah, I think I have a huge grappling advantage over him.
Yeah.
If the fight goes to the ground, I think I have the advantage, and I think that's kind of part of the goal is to get him to the ground. Because
Hmm.
once it's on the ground, he's in trouble,
Yeah.
and I really believe that if I can get him to the ground, he's going to be struggling.
Nice. I think that's that would be smart of him to try to work the takedown defense. Now he does train in Colorado, so he has that altitude training. I don't think that you're a guy that's ever gotten tired, but does that concern you at all? That maybe you want to start fast because he does have that sort of advantage of that oxygenated blood.
No, I never really thought about it. I mean, I can do 3 rounds or 5 rounds
Yeah.
at whatever pace necessary.
Hmm.
The the real problem isn't conditioning. The real problem is damage. Who
Yeah.
can take the most damage and continue to go forward and continue to implement the same game plan? I think that's the more difficult part. Sometimes you see guys who are in great shape and they get in fights and they take a lot of damage. I think Tyrone Woodley this weekend is a good example.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he was as tired because he wasn't well conditioned. I think he was tired because he took a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Took a lot of body shots. He took a lot of shots to the leg. And stuff like that will wear you down. I think that's more important than anything.
Yeah. So I mentioned before that you recently got back in the win column, but you know, Benny, we hit a little rough patch there for a minute. You had a win, you had a loss, you had a draw, a loss, and then you were able to get back. So I know that you are a man of great faith. But what got you through the harder times? You know, when you were in camp and everything. How did you power through that and come back? Into the light.
Like you said, faith was the biggest component.
Yeah.
But also, when I train, I'm training with the best guys, and I see how well I'm performing. With that being said, it was just one of those things. You know, you're gonna have. You're gonna hit some rough patches, and I think that's what it really was. When I'm training right now, I train with the best guys, and I feel perfectly fine, and I do quite well. So I know it was just a rough patch, and I had to work through it, and I had to keep the faith and move forward.
Mm-hmm. Was there anything that you would try to tell yourself on the way out? I don't know if you have mantras or what, because like you said, you're with Kings, you're with incredible people. But was there something that you had to kind of say to yourself to get over like any self-doubt you might have had?
Actually, I don't think there was anything I could say to myself to get over that self-doubt. It was one of those things where you just kind of had to go through it, and it sucked.
Yeah.
That last fight, it was harder than my first fight. I was so nervous, and I was going like so much was going through my head. Yeah. You know, if I lose another one, am I gonna get cut? Am I gonna retire? Like, am I supposed to be here? Am I on the right level? You know, you don't think about all the good things you've done in the octagon. You think about all the bad stuff that's happened, and you. At the end of the day, there was nothing really I could say to myself except for just get out there and get it done. You know, you work through it, and that's what I had to do. It was probably the hardest walkout I've ever had.
Wow, I can believe that. And I know Rafael very well, and I know that I joke with people like I've left Kings sometimes just after filming there and after one of his speeches after, and I'm like, I am going to win an Emmy. I am going to whatever. Like, I get so fired up listening to Rafa. So I can only imagine, the two of you, like the prayer session and the faith session beforehand. But at the same time, it's like there's still that your own voice in your head that's like, is it going to happen again? Gosh.
Exactly. And there was really no other way of just. There's only one way to do it. You got to get out there and face your fears, face your doubts, and just work through it. And that's what we did.
Absolutely. Well, you are victorious in your last outing, and let's talk about the training at Kings because you've been there a long time and you've opened up a branch of your own. People talk about when they teach things, they sort of even get a better sense of knowledge. So, how much has teaching other people really even deepened your own understanding of what you're doing in there?
Teaching really does help. I to be honest, I don't do much teaching currently because I focus more on training. Yeah. But teaching really does help. When you teach something, it's really simple. If you don't know something well, you're not going to be able to teach it. Right. If you're just making, you're going to be making stuff up. To be able to explain something simply, you must know it well. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, that's what teaching helps. It helps. Reinforce all your good habits and remind you, hey, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. Because if I'm teaching you something, I should be doing it too. It's one of those things. So teaching does help, but right now I'm training so much, it's hard to teach.
Nice. I get it, and that's important for you to focus on yourself. So I'm curious too. Kelvin Gastelum has a title fight coming up. I'm just curious. Have you guys been working together, or like who have you mainly been working with lately?
I had a lot of sparring with Kelvin actually because right before he left for his fight, I got to spar with him quite often. And he's a southpaw and he's about my height, so it was perfect. I've had Marvin Vittori. He's a southpaw, great partner. Yep. And then Arthur Estrazulas, he's another teammate from Kings, and Giga Chikadze. These guys have been these guys have been my sparring partners. Yeah, tell me about it.
Yeah, you're getting, yeah, like, okay, yeah. You're giving as good as you're getting with those guys, I'm sure.
Yeah, so between Kelvin and Marvin, I'm getting the real physical look. They're very strong
Yep.
and aggressive. Giga's super technical, and Arthur, I think, is actually the most well-rounded guys out of all of them. So
Nice.
I've had the ability to train with all of them, and I have Arthur here with me. So it's been a really, really good camp.
Well, and how great for Kelvin to have Marvin Vettori there too, who already fought Israel Adesanya. Like that's such a
Right.
great. And Marvin was successful in that third round. I remember talking to Hoffa after, and he's like, "Why do you think the judges, gave it to the other guy? Gave it to Israel?" I said, "Oh, if you could have gotten takedowns earlier." So
Yeah,
I mean, it's kind of cool that you guys have, as a camp, have already gone through one to face Israel.
exactly. I was there too for that fight. I
Yeah.
cornered Marvin, and I was really frustrated. I really thought he had the fight.
Hmm.
Uh, Maybe we'll watch it again. I don't know. Obviously, we're biased because he's our teammate. So, but like you said, we kind of have an idea of what he does,
Hmm.
and I think with Kelvin's style, it works out really well because Kelvin's not the kind of guy who's going to take a step back.
Hmm.
Kelvin's not interested in moving back. Kelvin's looking to move his head and create some exchanges, and I think that's where Kelvin's going to have all his success.
Hmm. So yeah, I mean that's interesting. You might be crowning another champion out of Kings. That's exciting.
It's very exciting,
It's
and
very exciting.
it's well deserved. This guy's been doing this for a while.
I know, I know, I know.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing. So, last thing I want to get to: did you get married yet, or it's coming up soon?
I'm engaged.
Okay.
We had this long battle with my future in-laws about either I go back to school or she has to finish school. Yeah, I was like, I'm not going back to
No,
school.
man, that ship has sailed.
Yeah, yeah, that's way gone. And
Yeah.
but they eventually said if when Victoria finishes school and she finishes school in January, then we can get married. So
All
we're
right.
looking at getting married next January, February time, as soon as she's done.
Awesome. That's good. I mean, listen, you gotta do what the dad says. Like, and then,
Yeah,
my Wade had to call my dad and ask permission. You're like, you can't mess with the dads.
I agree. Once you get married, they become your parents, and
Yeah.
it's important to honor your parents. So
Yeah.
that's kind of the idea.
Well, nice. I'm glad. Anyway, you look so happy in all the pictures you post, and I've always said I've said to a million people I wish I had a girl to introduce Beneil to, and you found the one for you. So I'm very happy. I'm excited for you. I think it's great.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Karen.
And your mom's good. Everybody's good at home.
Mom's good. Mom is excited. She has two granddaughters now. My
Nice.
sister. I have two nieces. Actually, the hardest part about this week
Yeah.
is my sister's birthday is tomorrow, and then my niece's birthday is on the 10th.
Okay.
So, but the party's on the 9th, same day as my fight. So
Right.
that's the hardest part. I'm missing those two birthdays. And last fight, I missed the wedding. My first cousin's wedding. So
Uh oh.
it, it's been one of those things. I keep having to miss these important occasions,
Yeah.
and I'm hoping I can make this one up at least because you can't really make up a wedding. But
No.
the birthday, I can go and take care of my nieces and hang out with them and just have a good time.
Nice. Very nice. Well, tomorrow's actually Wade's birthday too. So happy.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Happy birthday to Wade.
Yeah. It's going. Happy birthday to your sister. Awesome. Well, listen, I get to Wichita late Thursday night. I'll be the one in the parka apparently, and the scarf and everything. Yeah. But
We'll be
you
matched.
guys are the second fight on the main card, I think, right?
Yes.
Cool. Very nice. Very nice. Well, we're really much looking forward to this. You are taking on Drew Dober. That is at UFC Wichita. Beneil, thanks for spending the time. And it's been too long. My fault here, but I'm glad I was able to catch up with you today. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. We'll definitely have to catch up.
All right, cool. I'll see you soon.
We'll try to meet somewhere closer, like
Yeah,
Hollywood.
that makes sense. I'll see you soon.
Take care. Bye bye.